Thank you all for your patience. We have a lot of information to go over. And Most High has had me in the lab here for the last couple of weeks, just downloading a lot of information, making many connections. Thank you all for your patience. Of course. We have a lot of information to go. Of course, already tripping. All right, so let's try this again. All right. Let's play a little big dog right now to get everybody an opportunity to get notified and come back in. Today. Stolen legacy.
Uniting all the nations, they go busted out for patience. Cooking pizza, having aprons. Angelic in my cadence. These causes separations. Satellite moving blatant. Red God been waiting. Initiating stations. Pyramids rising vibrations. Open up your heart.
All praises, no problem.
Time to bring my crown. Don't believe it's water, non-believers must drown. Don't need a Bentley, cause my tribe was bound. Been hated on since the king touched down. Everything you owe us, you must bring us now. Metal cracks, no TDJs. Coon can't see a face. My DNA can't create a race. White Jesus, we replace. Wet V can't eat a steak. And my people, hey, this ain't planet, hey. What's the dialogue, hey? Aboriginals, Swedish royalty, Celestia. Big dog, big dog,
Great seeing everybody. All praises. All praises to the Most High for an opportunity to be blessed with another day to serve Him. All praise to the Most High again for the Holy Spirit for bringing all things back into remembrance. And to be used in a mighty way at this time is such a blessing. To be able to do the work of the Most High here in the Matrix, when the Matrix can't do anything to you anymore, is a huge blessing. And the downloads that personally I'm getting, I'm sure we're all getting, it just shows you that we are special and we are chosen by the Most High. And saw some video from Tucker Carlson saying that there is no such thing as chosen people and that it was all changed in the New Testament and we choose to like become Christians. And see, this is what happens when you people, yeah, I say you people, you people, you used to talk to us about being you people, you idiots who seem to think that the power of the universe does not have the right to choose whoever or whomever he wants to choose, and that he has to open it up to everyone. When you got the opportunity to be on top, you excluded his people. And you guys, you other nations keep talking about a New Testament. There is no New Testament. There is no new covenant with Gentiles. But this just shows you that like you've gotten downloads of information and you are not capable of thinking anything different. And what we're going to start with is this one concept. Okay? You guys have been on top for a couple thousand years. From the Greeks to the Romans and to the revived Roman Empire. You love to act like you are such philosophers and deep thinkers. You've been in charge for 2,000 plus years. How smart do you seem right now? All of you Catholics, Christians who idolize the Greeks and the Romans and their time on top and acting as if somehow you are so mentally superior to us. Does it really look like you're mentally superior right now? Like I love that one scene in the Batman movie, and when a dude is like talking to one of the other guys, like, do you feel in charge? And it was Bane. I love that part when he's talking to one of the dudes that was running the city, and he's like, he told the other guy to leave, and he says, no, you stay right here. I'm in charge. And Bane puts his big ass hand by his neck and says, do you feel in charge? And that's exactly what we're looking at you guys like right now. Do you feel in charge right now? Do you really think you are in charge right now? When you guys are still trying to, no. What those black people are saying is not true. We're still in charge. Look, rapture. See, 3i Atlas is now rolled up on your ass, and 3i Atlas is like, do you feel in charge right now? Do you feel in charge? He's already activated his people right now. And we're down here in your face saying, do you feel in charge? You guys have lied to yourselves, you know. And let me just find that part. I just love that scene. I play that. You know how I do. I play scenes over and over again.
A bucket for her.
Hold on.
And a tree.
The Garden of Eden was never lost.
Hold on.
The Garden of Eden was never lost.
Believers.
No, you stay here. I'm in charge.
Believers.
No, you stay here. I'm in charge.
Do you feel in charge?
Fair use. Fair use. Do you feel in charge? Is that how y'all feel right now? Do y'all feel like y'all in charge right now? He just put his little hand up there. Do you feel in charge? Just like when y'all sit here talking about breaking down the Bible. The Bible, this is what that means. So Jesus never said he came for only the house of Israel. He came for everybody. John 3:16. Do you feel in charge? You guys are not in charge. You are not in charge. And I'm going to prove it to you today. First thing, let me see here. And again, fair use. That was for entertainment purposes only. So hold on. Let me get my notes because hopefully we can get through all of this. Because now, something you guys got to understand is to be philosophers, you know, and they always talk about these great thinkers, deep thinkers, and things like that. They're always talking about the Greeks, right? The Greeks are these great thinkers and everything else, right? Well, you have to have certain things that you have to have in order to be a great thinker. Let me show you a couple things real fast. There are a couple things that you have to have as a society to be great thinkers, to be philosophers, okay? So let's go. This is from Stolen Legacy, okay? It says, right here, before passing on to consider the next proposition, I would like to say that it is an accepted truth that the development of philosophical thought requires an environment which is free from disturbance and worries. The period commonly assigned to Greek philosophy, i.e. Thales and Aristotle, was exactly the opposite to one of peace and tranquility, and therefore it could not be expected to produce philosophy. That is very important. I would like to say that it is an accepted truth that the development of philosophical thought requires an environment which is free from disturbance and worries. The period commonly assigned to Greek philosophy, i.e. Thales to Aristotle, was exactly the opposite to one of peace and tranquility, and therefore it could not be expected to produce philosophy. The obstacles against the origin and development of Greek philosophy were not only the frequency of civil wars and the constant defense against Persian aggression, but also the threat of extermination from the Athenian government, its worst enemy. So philosophy requires a suitable environment. I must now add the following. I'm going to leave it at that. Philosophy requires a suitable environment, okay? And that is right here from this book right here, Stolen Legacy. And right after this guy finished his book, he was killed. George G.M. James right there, okay? All right, so this shows you that the Greek philosophers never got their information over there. It would have been impossible because in order to develop all these ideas, it takes thousands of years. Thousands of years of peace and tranquility in order for you to be able to think and learn and, grow and get knowledge and pass it down and learn more things and pass it down and learn more things, right? So they also talk about how they stole this information from the Egyptians or the Hamites. But the Hamites are located where? In the three parts. Were not the Hamites surrounded by enemies? Weren't the Greeks surrounded by enemies? If so, supposedly Israel was over there, they would have been what? Surrounded by enemies. So it's letting you know that you need like a peaceful environment in order to be able to be like deep thinkers and to get this information, which would have been where? Exactly. It would have been here in the Americas. Because why? Our lands had natural barriers to the other nations. We lived here in peace and comfort. We had the water, like 50% of the world's water was here. The food was here. And in fact, I don't know if I'm gonna get into it today in the what is it, Irish Wisdom book, but it talks about how like in our language, we did not even have a lot of words for like these dangerous animals because most of the animals were not dangerous to us. So therefore we lived in peace and tranquility, right? For thousands of years, not bothered by the other nations, which was the environment that necessary in order to get all of this knowledge and understanding. And it was going to take thousands of years. Now they say that the Hamites in Egypt were they were working on this stuff for 5,000, 6,000 years. How was that possible? Because they were surrounded by enemies. So that would not have been possible because people would have been coming in and out, taking over, leaving, taking over, leaving. You would have had the Gentiles always bothering you, always, trying to come in and steal stuff from you and everything else. This is why the Most High said that we are a what? A holy and separate people. That would have been here. That's why they said that everybody knew of the Mayans or the Mayaks worldwide because why? We would have had all of our knowledge, understanding centrally located here on Turtle Island. And then we would have set up, little colonies here and there in order to teach the other nations, in order to share some of the information over there. They would not have started over there because the parameters or the things, the ingredients of the things that you need peace. You need peace. You need your needs met. You need to not have all of these people over here giving you all of this, all these distractions. As you see today, these people are only good for one thing: distractions. They do nothing but do what? Oh, look at this war. Hey, look at this war. Hey, look at this war. Hey, I'm going to take your EBT. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this. Oh, Trump's doing this. Trump's making a ballroom. Trump's not, the government shut down. Everything is all about chaos, right? Chaos and distractions. That's all that they do. So if you Greeks and Romans have been in charge for 2,000 years, where's all your deep thinking? Where is all of your great philosophy? Did it just stop when the Greeks, were around and there's been no philosophy since? You see, now it's all going to make sense as to why all prophecy is revolving around the fourth part. All prophecy is revolving around. That's why Moctezuma was getting signs, him and the Mayans that were here, the Aztecs that were here, they were getting all these signs here. Why would the Most High giving signs to idiots on the other side of the world that all they do is fight, rape, rob, murder, steal, and fight and kill each other? They would not have had any opportunity. They wouldn't have the mental or spiritual capacity to break down what they were seeing. They didn't have books. They didn't have knowledge. They did not have understanding. So the Most High is going to deal with, of course, he made a covenant with his people. So therefore, he's going to be sending messages to his people. You see what I'm saying? Now it's all making sense. All of these signs that happened before these guys got here, given to Moctezuma, the Aztecs, Mayans, the different groups, right? And now, towards the end of their reign, we've been getting knowledge and understanding. We've been getting signs, blood moons, eclipses, right? Knowledge increased. Waking up in the lands of our captivities. We've been captives on our own lands. That's why they're saying, oh, we all came from Africa. We are the smartest mentally. We are the most evolved spiritually. So why would we be hanging out with Hamites who have neither? We have been invaded, right? Exactly, Sister Ebby. We're captives on our own lands, right here. Before y'all got here, that's why it was such a shock to y'all when y'all got here. You saw the colonies that we had, but you didn't get to see the source. You guys did not get a chance, opportunity to come over here and see the source. How we can control different places all over the world from the source. We can control thinking from the source. This is where the ley lines, we can go down there and get our thoughts going, and we can wake up the tribes worldwide. I appreciate Brother Levi. He's been making videos waking up the tribes. I appreciate him and the family over there working together to wake up the family and the tribes. This is how it works. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is how it works. Hey, we all have our blessings. We all have our gifts, and we work together. Do you imagine the things that we did before and the things that we will do now in the future working together? We had our needs met. When the Most High has taken care of us, taken care of our needs, given us abundantly more than we ever would have needed. There was no need to work. That's why so many of these people are already, like a lot of these immigrants. Well, I worked hard. I came over here and I worked hard. I worked hard. Hey, I should be able to stay because I worked hard. You can't leave me because I worked hard. The Most High did not set everything up so that your grade was based on how hard you worked to actually attain what the Most High has already given to us freely. Working hard is something that the white man wants you to do so that you can get an attaboy from him, so that you can make his life easier. That's not, did the Most High say, hey, I want y'all to work really, really hard. That's what you're going to be. That's what, does it say that when we're separating the sheep and the goats? Does it say, hey, who worked hard? Oh, you worked hard? You're a sheep. Oh, you worked hard for the white man? You're a sheep. You worked hard for the Catholic Church? You're a sheep. You gave 20% to the Catholic Church? You're a sheep. You gave 20% to the Christian Church? You're a sheep. And as hard as you've worked, you've never, ever worked as hard as we did. Because we built everything. We worked 7 days a week. We didn't get anything for it. And, you know, we got sold here, sold there, treated horribly, and nobody said a word. So how hard you work is not going to be the criteria for how you're going to be judged at the end. That is not how you're going to be judged at the end. Maybe the white man will give you an attaboy and pet your head and, you know, let you do a little something here. I said, but that is not what the Most High has set us up for. He didn't set us up to sit here and work hard. He gave us food. He gave us crops. He gave us, plenty of water. He gave us opportunity to have plenty of, homes to live in. He gave us beautiful scenery, beautiful lands, seasons, things that we didn't have to go out and kill ourselves for. He wanted us to electricity, right? He wanted us to chase him, to follow his rules. He gave us everything. And he's given it to us again, because that is part of the covenant we have with him. And we're going to get it all back again. Exactly. Beautiful. That's what we can do when we're not worried about, having to fight for our basic necessities. Then we can build and do beautiful things. And that's why when they came over here, like, we didn't have a bunch of weapons. We didn't have a bunch of that. But why? Because we were living here peacefully. You see, we were living here peacefully. In the fourth part, we had all this knowledge, we had all this philosophy, and all this understanding, because the Most High was downloading things to us, and we didn't have to worry about basic stuff. So therefore, we were living in peace for the most part. For the most part. Okay? So there was no need for us to have a bunch of weapons and everything else. Because we already knew all the other nations do, if you mess with them people, don't be bothering them people. You mess with them people, and if they're with their father, them angels are going to tear us apart. Or they're going to get superpowers, and they're going to tear us apart. Your weapons, it said no weapon's going to be able to do anything against me. No weapon form can do anything against me. When I'm with my father, and you're with your father, and we're with our mother, and they already knew this. This is why it was so important for them to get us to turn our back on our laws and eat and do abominable things in order to disconnect us from our power. That's what the Greeks started with. That's what the Romans continued with. That's what a revived Roman Empire brought over here. So this is why you were able to come in and destroy us, because we were not the type of society. And then the Most High did not empower us. He did not give the angels power he did not tell them they can come over here and fight for us and whatever else. We couldn't turn to our X-Men. We couldn't turn into, we weren't turning into our great power that we was given to us. So we were nothing but, we were like gods dying as men. It says, although ye are gods, you will die as men. We have God-like DNA in us. These other nations know that. But we died as men because we did not have our power at the time. We have God-like DNA in us. And it's showing already right now. Because you can see our God-like DNA by our mental and our spiritual understanding that we are getting right now. The base part is the physical. We know that's coming, but when you start to see this spiritual and mental understanding that we have that cannot be matched by billions of people on this earth, that lets you know who the Most High is really dealing with. And it has nothing to do with just your skin color. That's what you guys see. That's the physical thing again that you guys are all stuck on, talking about just physical stuff. I'm showing you through our mental and spiritual understanding that we are light years ahead of you. And we do have that supernatural DNA. And a bloodline has that. And that is it. That is why you guys, other nations, are told to either cleave or leave. That's it. You can't be us, but you can cleave. That's what you can do. And now it's all coming back. And CI Atlas is a huge sign. And they're and right now you can see they're in such fear. They are in such fear. Okay? I barely even gotten to the very first part of my notes. Because like I said, the 3 parts are always at war because they're always surrounded by enemies. And it's all that they have is the physical things that they think about, the basic necessities, basic needs, and that's why they're always fighting and killing each other. So let me get to this one. But this is why I talked about in the last video, First Nephi 22, about us coming out of obscurity, because we are the hidden ones. And that is what you're seeing right now. We are coming out of obscurity because we are the hidden ones. Now I'm going to show you how what they do with these fake histories. Let me get it real fast in the book. I got so much stuff. Like I said, this is why I haven't been doing a lot of lives. Oops. Haven't been doing like a lot of lives. I've been doing a lot more videos. Also, it got me going back to the old school stuff I've been doing. I said a lot more teaching. I mean, I can teach some definitely here, I said, but had me doing the old judo stuff. Okay. So this is right here, Irish wisdom, and look at the bottom right here. This is what they've been doing. It was established to assist in carrying out the papal policy, not only of destroying the Irish church, now that's the Hebrew church over there, okay, and nation, but also to put into effect a well thought out plan. It was worthy of the original bishop, whom Machiavelli had in mind for his diplomatic model, to vilify them before all mankind and posterity. Now, we've been vilified before all mankind and posterity. Rome had then, as she has today, her ranks of men of all. Oops, sorry. Hold on. Okay. All grades of conscience and versatility, some of whom she could always find fit to carry out her ends, however vile they might be. The old man of the mountain had his faithful adherents and his emissaries likewise. A priest known in history as Heraldus Cambrensis, okay, hold on, was duly appointed to do this audacity work, and it is mainly due to the false and slanderous writings and fictitious alibis set up in his victinal history and in his work entitled The Conquest of Ireland, that a documentary foundation of history composed of willful and vicious falsehoods was laid down, and British writers have ever since made use of it. So it was the Romans and the British who made all these fake histories. Giraldus's fable are supported as it was arranged that they should be by another setup who was called Jocelyn. Thus did this knavish priest furnish a false documentary history of Ireland, from which both material and ideas have since been taken to traduce her. And especially during this last century, where they industriously circulated abroad through British propaganda, that his slanders are discredited today is not the fault of his sponsors, but it shows the base vileness and dishonesty of the Roman and British propagandists. Okay. So what they would do was just sit there and just make up all these lies. They'd have their priests write all this stuff. And they would have the British go ahead and make another group who would pretty much substantiate this stuff, right? These are the things that they did. And they would make straight out lies and just publish them. And the people who were alive at that time would believe the lie. They would know, oh, that's a lie. That's not true. That's not true. But what would happen was those people would die off. And then the next generation would read that stuff and believe it was true. They would believe all the lies as true. And all it took was one generation. One generation. So just like when they said they got here and they said, oh, these Aztecs were sacrificing children. They were cutting the hearts out of children and sacrificing them. Then that's exactly what they would do. Make up a fake false history and kill off a bunch of the people. And then within one generation, everybody would believe that the people that were here sacrificing children and people, and that's why the Spaniards did what they did. That's exactly why they keep pushing that whole thing with, the Aztecs were, sacrificing people. But then Cortez, who was there, never said that. These are the kinds of things that they have done. They have made such fake and false histories. Exactly, all this fake and false history, calling these Aztecs, calling them heathens, and this and that. But all of a sudden, it's funny how a lot of Latinos want to be considered Aztecs now, Aztec warriors, and want to be Mayans now. All that stuff. And that's it. They come out of the piece of, come out of the womb telling lies. Exactly. They're the ones that use babies for alligator bait, right? Exactly. Let me go to that page. Hold on. So, and you think about it, like over here in America, you still got the same two groups. You got the Spaniards who were pushing history in Mexico, Latin America, and then you got the British who were passing history over here in Americas. Same two groups. Same two groups that are going all the way back here from this book are the same two groups that are pushing history and understanding today. That's why in school they force us to learn European history and not English history here in the Americas. So here, next part. So it says, quite a few of the publishers of our own country have been subsidized to misrepresent things Hebrew. It says Irish, but that's our people. Hebrew. You're right, Hebrew. While the British government has allowed its trained forces to commit barbarities against unoffending citizens in Ireland and as well over here in the fourth part, but the people of the Hebrew race, wherever they have cast their lot, by their capacity and wonderful achievements in all lands, have demonstrated the falsity of those slanders. So just like always, like they say all these things about us being, like they're always trying to project all the things that they're guilty of on us, but we've demonstrated many times that that's a bunch of lies, right? Heraldus admitted, as he himself tells and is published by his English translator and publisher, that where people of his day who knew the facts laughed and scoffed at the absurd things he wrote, people of future generations would not know the truth and would not be able to scoff. He said, people of today laugh at these things because they know the facts, but people of future generations will not know, and therefore they will accept them as true history. Thus, we see the vileness of a degenerate Roman priesthood employed in inventing falsehoods in order to slander the Hebrew church and nation. So you see what I'm saying? Like this is, so now you keep pushing like all of these different groups over there being the people. That's right there. That's Egypt over there. Egypt is our anchor. That's Egypt over there. Like, okay, you keep believing that. You keep on believing that. If that's what you want to believe, be my guest. But that's why all the no prophecies are being fulfilled over there. No prophecies in the scriptures are being fulfilled over there. Why is that? Right? Never mind the 400 years, just skip the line, right? Exactly. Olmec heads. So we see the play, because now when you understand this book, then you'll see they did exactly the same thing over there when they were dealing with the small group of our people that were over there, and they came over here and did exactly the same thing. Nobody defends the church. Nobody defends their actions. Nobody says it is. They just ignore it, and then keep on acting as if somehow they have some type of authority. Now another one was that the Irish. Hold on, let me get the right page here. Hold on, let me switch this up. See how they just make the people in the chat stay the same, which is like, hey, it doesn't matter. It's not saving y'all. It's not saving you guys. You're acting like there's only 800 people in the chat. It moves up there and it stops moving. Doesn't mean anything. It does not mean anything. Not stopping this truth, is it? Hold on here. So, Western continent, okay. See, this is before Columbus, okay? That the papal authorities at Rome had long possessed a pretty good knowledge of the Hebrew intercourse with the Western continent. Yes, those are our brothers. We were going back and forth. Western continent. We may well believe this knowledge they obtained from the Irish priests, as stated by the Abbé Brasseur de Bourbourg. In fact, it would have been next to impossible to have kept this knowledge from them, as Ireland was the greatest maritime nation in the world, and the one which Rome had the longest struggle we may have any record of or tradition. So Rome knew that the Irish Church of Isa Creost, all right, had established Christianity or sun worship on the Western continent. Now really, it was already established on the Western continent first, and it spread out. This knowledge must have been confirmed by the Irish priests who were brought into the Roman Church organization at the time of the suppression of the Irish Church. So we got people that were part of our church that went over with the Romans and then gave them our secrets, right? So check this out, though, with Columbus. Let me see, hold on. In view of the knowledge in our possession, a fact may be stated here, okay, and one of no little importance is this connection, and that is that a companion of Columbus on this voyage is listed on the rolls as William the Irishman from Dublin. So he had a Hebrew, we already knew that, but he also called William the Irishman from Dublin, was already there too. In view of the importance which attached to this enterprise and what was openly staked upon it by his royal patron, and secretly expected of it by the church fathers, it is but natural to suppose that men of the best nautical skill and knowledge were secured to assist Columbus. So it is only fair to assume that this person was sea-wise in the knowledge of the Irish mariners, and were formerly the unrivaled sea voyagers of the world. From time out of mind, their nearest competitors, okay, by far inferior in range, being the Norse of a latter day. This Irishman, William, may have previously made such a voyage himself, which might account for this being, his being with Columbus on this voyage. If such was the case, no record of it would have been allowed to exist. So see, they couldn't have gotten over here without us. They could not have gotten over here without us. They already knew about the lands that were over here, and that was confirmed in some of the books that I have about the fourth part. They knew about this land over here. They just couldn't come over here. They were aware of that. Columbus was aware of this when he wrote that most of the prophecies have already been fulfilled. All the prophecies that could be fulfilled over there were fulfilled. It's the ones that had to be fulfilled in the fourth part that had to happen. You see what I'm saying? So now when you understand again, now it makes sense. These people didn't have knowledge. They did not have understanding. Heck, even Solomon had a huge navy that was gone for years at a time. So we were the ones that could send our ships back and forth, because we were the ones that were allowed to go back and forth. And of course, we would have knowledge of the seas. Why? Because we had a knowledge with the Most High. He gave us knowledge of everything. You guys just changed all these different names. You guys just changed all these different names in order to try to put yourselves into our history. Try to do all these great, Spaniards and Portuguese navies and seamen, but you guys couldn't come over here until the Most High allowed you to. You see, so now it's all like starting to connect. Over here was everything. Prophecy is being fulfilled right here. We were, taken into captivity in our own lands. We're going to Egypt again. We're going to go into captivity again. But this was different because we're going to go into captivity in our own lands. And as you can see, if you guys want to say that the Mexicans were the ones that controlled Mexico before the Spaniards got here, then that would mean then that they should be the ones bringing out knowledge and understanding at the end. They should have things that were taken from them, restored to them. If the Native Americans were the original people here on the lands, they would be fulfilling the prophecies of having all things brought back into remembrance. If the Brazilians or the Argentinians or the Cubans, if they were the ones that had the lands before, then all things, all knowledge will be returned back to them. You see what I'm saying? So this is showing you that if the land is yours, and the land is working for you, and the Holy Spirit is bringing knowledge back to you. So it doesn't matter what they say you are because you were born there and if those are your lands. The only way you're going to really know who the lands belong to are the ones that are having the Holy Spirit bring all things back into remembrance. They're the only, even if they're black, it doesn't matter. Again, we're still getting caught up with the whole thing with being black. That does not say that for sure then that you are part of these lands, because many people have given up their identity. Most of our people went with the other nations. So just stop with only the black ones are. No, because a lot of them also gave up their opportunity to come back and be able to, get this knowledge and get this understanding. Now that goes back to the Shepherd of Hermas, which is in the Lost Scriptures book, which I was going to bring, but I didn't have a chance to get that one too, because it's just too much. Because it talks about this part. It says, why do you build homes here? Why are you building your homes here in a land that's not yours? If you are concentrating on building lands and building homes and getting lands and getting things here, you cannot return to your home. You have given your allegiance to this land, and therefore you have made it so it's impossible for you to go back to your own lands. They have forsaken their birthright, Sister Didia, exactly. You see what I'm saying? So people got to stop trying to say for sure who is who. You don't know. We don't know. We're not going to know. We're not supposed to know. Hey, all I can do is take care of me, right? And the people that are around me. And even then, even the people that are around me, it's up to them. It's a personal, that whole personal relationship with the Most High or Yahweh Shai, that is a very true thing. It's up to each and every individual to study to show themselves approved and to be called by the Most High in order to get this knowledge and understanding. And only the Most High knows. But see, that's what happens when people want to try to jump the gun and be the Most High. That's why you make a 12 tribes chart and say, all these people that are here are this, all these people here are that. That's not even possible. It's not even possible for you even to know all of that. Like I saw a video, I can't play all the videos. I'm gonna have to do another live and go even longer, but I'm gonna probably try to make more. I'm making more videos. But all of a sudden these Hamite women are like, okay, it's time for us to start going with the African American men. It's time for us to, start to, go with the African American men. I was like, my God, are y'all serious? She was serious too. Oh, they're great men. They're this, they're that. They're handsome. Yeah, I was like, yeah, okay. We want to go with the African American men now. I was like, yeah, nah, you can keep that. No thanks. Yeah, no thanks. You cool? We cool on that. Hey, you can get the 2/3. Knock yourself out with them. Right? Ham is coming out of nowhere with crazy content everywhere. Everybody. That's everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I was like, so again. Hold on. For you Catholics, one more thing here, so you all understand, because they love to kind of act like, it was the Spaniards, but not the Catholics, right? But let's continue. It is plainest fact that Ireland's history has been written by her enemies, just like ours over here. However, it is important to note that an Irishman was one of the personnel on that voyage. He was of the race. Of seamen, okay, who made voyages from the Western Ocean and had a constant intercourse with the people of this American continent. Okay, so you can see all those pages right there from that book. He brought some particular and special knowledge to Columbus and was familiar with the seafaring traditions of his race. The church fathers and all essentials practically ruled the Spanish kingdom and were the closest advisors of the king and queen. Those shrewd men, crafty strategists with a world perspective for their organization, knew the Irish church or the Hebrew church colonization on the opposite side of the Atlantic. Now, the thing was, we weren't it wasn't colonizing over there. We colonized the opposite way. Okay, but they just knew that the true people, they're going to say that here, but they knew that the true information, the source, was over here. Okay, colonization on the opposite side of the Atlantic. And that it was from there that the priests of the Irish church obtained the gold and silver for their church service. Now, see, just like Solomon, he sent stuff over there, and that's how he got his gold and silver to fill up his temples and churches over here. Over there. Right? Like Ophir, right? Silver for their church service and for the ornaments of their symbolic monuments, pyramids, temples, towers, obelisks, and dalins. Ireland itself, so far as known, never yielded more than a small amount of those metals, and they were dedicated to the use of the sun worship. The policy decided upon, judging by what actually occurred, was to place a closer censorship upon the voyage. So they were censoring things back then. The same policy was applied to subsequent voyages. So they were not letting out a lot of information, right? And all along, we find the priest accompanying every voyage, and in the van of every expedition. So the priests were there for every voyage and every expedition. Why? He was there to observe everything discovered and to bring back a report to his superiors, and more especially to take note of the religious state and conditions which were found existing in the Western land. He was there also for the purpose of mutilating and destroying whatever evidence might be found that would be injurious or damaging to the claims of the Roman Church. Right, that they were the original church, that they were the original Christians. This evidence was found in abundance everywhere and will be shown. In all things considered, there is no hypothesis but this outstanding fact upon which to account for the sack and ruin of temples and altars, monuments and symbols, as well as the destruction of cities, coupled with the awful killings and massacres committed by the Spaniards, dominated by the priests. So that right there is all your proof for the 4 horsemen coming over here. The conquerors coming over here, the white horse. War, the red horse. Death, right? People being starved to death, all that. That was all the 4 horsemen that were brought over here, right? Brought by the Spaniards and the priests. That was the fulfillment of prophecy that Columbus was talking about. They were, and this is a history you're not going to hear about. That's why when you go to school, you're forced to learn about European history. Why? Because they don't want you to realize that there's 4 horsemen that they say are coming, after they get raptured. They think they're going to get raptured after condoning and setting up and supporting this crap. That they're somehow going to get raptured. And that after that, then the Antichrist comes on the land, and then the 4 horsemen are released. But they were released when you guys got here. They were released when you guys got here. And as you can see, I have just given you guys maybe 4 pages. If you can see all the notes here, all the stuff here, over here, all over the place, and just one book. You think that somehow you're going to be able to just ignore all this knowledge, mess with numbers? You think that's going to stop your destruction? See, this is all the stuff you're going to have to pay for. You are stuck here being the first wave of payment. This is what happens when you're told to study, to show thyself approved, to read many other books, to connect all this other information. It's called Salvation for the Plantation. I got that one from Brother Zabak years ago. Salvation for the Plantation. See, the last book of the Bible says Revelation. Doesn't say World War III. Doesn't say war here, war there, fighting here, fighting there. It says the Most High said he's going to plead for his people. When it's time to get physical, the Most High is just going to breathe on you and destroy you. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is the whole thing. You guys seem to think this is why. See, you got a 3 parts mentality to prophecy. This shows that you had nothing to do with the 4th part, because you have a 3 parts mentality for prophecy. Everything that you guys talk about as prophecy is war and fighting. Everything is about war and fighting, death, destruction, and that's it. That's all you guys talk about, because that is your blessing and that is your mentality. But in the last book of the Bible, it's all about knowledge, understanding, and growth. That is the 4th part, which is the true part of prophecy. The 4th part is all about waking up in the lands of our captivity, waking up on our own lands that had been stolen from us, waking up on our lands that we have been forced to work on. Then the Holy Spirit bringing all things back into remembrance, bringing back our greatness, bringing back our knowledge of who we are, bringing our knowledge about whose we are and which lands are ours, and pointing out who you are. That is what these end days are all about. So you see, this is war. This is war. You see all that and all this knowledge right here. That is prophecy. Prophecy all over the place, right here. Bring all things being brought back into remembrance. That is prophecy. You guys can't do that. So therefore, you're stuck with, oh, I'm gonna get a bigger gun. I'm gonna get another gun that shoots 6 bullets. No, I'm gonna get one that shoots 12 bullets. No, I'm gonna get a gun that shoots 24 bullets. I'm gonna get one that gets like a Gatling gun that just shoots and shoots and shoots, and that's it. We don't have to do that, because right now you are on stolen land. You have already cursed your children. Our angels are ready to get with you. Our power is already going to turn his people from fishers to hunters. You see what I'm saying? That's prophecy. What you guys are talking about is just made up stuff from the third part that has nothing to do with scripture at all. I mean, I can go into, hold on, let me see. This is why nobody comes at me at all. If y'all wanted to battle, we can get these books, we can get this history, we can get into the Bible, we can get the Book of Mormon, we get to, Old Testament pseudepigrapha, we can get into whatever you want to get into. But y'all don't talk about any of that though. You know what I'm saying? So talk about knowledge and understanding, y'all got nothing. Y'all got nothing. Got nothing to say. Hold on here. Now what you got to understand is that they put this truth in movies. I love the Black Panther movie. First and the second one's good. But what you got to understand is this. They tell you the truth right there at the end of the movie. Right? After my boy dies, Killmonger represents us. Okay? And oh boy, the Black Panther, he represents what the European nations want us black people to be. They want us to, always want to worry about them, right? Wants us to worry about, how are we going to help the other nations? How are we going to help them? Why would we help them? They help themselves. They showed what happened in the second movie when they were always trying to get the vibranium. They're always working to try to get the vibranium, right? Always trying to get that vibranium, trying to steal it, whatever else. That's what these words, that's how they were before. It's kind of totally like in reverse. Then later on, eventually they got their hands on the vibranium. They got their hands on our lands and our resources. And that's when they got over here to the fourth part. They got the opportunity to get the vibranium, get the land and everything else, right? But what has happened is that in the first movie, at the end, after Killmonger dies, the sister wants to do what? Go set up colonies all over the world. And that's exactly what they did. At the end, they kind of went to the hood in Oakland and they set up a little center where they could bring their resources and their knowledge to the world. And that is exactly what our people did. The Mayaks. We set up little places in different parts of the world. Then eventually, they took down our colonies, and then they took down the source. And now, their time of controlling the source is over. Their time of controlling our resources, that's over. And that is where we are right now. We were a light to the world in the past, and now we are a light to the world right now. To the ones that are, to the Gentiles that have been awakened. And I got brothers and sisters that, I don't know if they're Israel, I don't know if they're Gentiles, but I do know that they've been awakened. And that they've been cleaving and they've been supporting us this whole time, so the Most High is going to take care of them. He's also saying, that's the thing, like even assuming like every black person that you see is Israel, that's not true either. You don't know if they might be, it doesn't matter, their actions matter. Have they been supporting us? That is between each and every individual and them. Are they cleaving or are they Israel? That's between the Most High and them. That is not for me to figure out. I don't have to. That's the Most High going to figure that out. But if they've been with us and supporting us and being down with us and being down with the truth before other people were. It happened with Rahab. Rahab saved herself and her family, and she was down with our people from one person from the other nations supporting our people with one action. You see what I'm saying? So, and like I said, and that's all going to be deciphered and figured out on Judgment Day between the Most. I'm not going to be there. That's going to be between that individual and the Most High. But see, we got people that were in this truth that want to be able to tell other people who they are for sure. Oh, your dad's Mexican for sure. Oh, you're in. Oh, your dad's Native American. Oh, you're in. Oh, your dad's a Negro for sure. Oh, you're in. I don't think that works like that either. Because all of these designations is not your nationality. Just because you're born somewhere doesn't make you that. You see what I'm saying? So again, when you want to get down with the real stuff, you get down with knowledge and understanding. That's what this is all about. This is not about fighting, war, and that's it. There's a lot more to this than just that. Exactly. Judgment is going to sift all of that out. A lot of people want to be black now. A lot of people want to be black now. So hold on real quick. Let me get something else. Okay. So again, this is 1 Nephi 22. We'll look at 10. And I would, my brethren, that ye should know that all the kindreds of the earth cannot be blessed unless he shall make bare his arm in the eyes of the nations. And the Most High already did that. He put us at the bottom so all the other nations could see. Wherefore the Most High Power will proceed to make bare his arm in the eyes of all the nations, and bringing about his covenants and his gospel unto those who are of the house of Israel. He's bringing back the good news to us about who we are. The Most High sent the Holy Spirit to do that. Wherefore he will bring them again out of captivity, and they shall be gathered together to the lands of their inheritance. We're going back to the lands of our inheritance. And they shall be brought out of obscurity and out of darkness, and they shall know that the Most High is their Savior. So we're going to be brought out of obscurity. And that's exactly what's happening right now. We've been brought out of obscurity. The other nations were never going to tell us who we are. They were never going to tell us who we are. I have no idea why this thing is so close. But they were never going to tell us any of that. Okay? So don't even waste your time thinking that they're going to tell us that. Right? Because that is over with. That is a wrap. We don't need them to tell us anyways. I said, I don't need these people to tell me anything. Okay? I said, the Most High sent the Holy Spirit, and she's going to teach me everything that I need to know. She has taught me all the stuff that I have right now, right? And she's going to teach me everything else that I need to know. So I just wanted to just definitely talk about that with you guys. Okay? What the heck is going on with this thing? I don't know. That's weird. But yeah, I don't need you other nations to tell us anything. You're not capable of telling us anything. These are our lands. Prophecy is being fulfilled here. The signs are here. 3i Atlas is going to be wearing you out real soon. 3i Atlas is already wearing you guys out. You guys are scared to death. You got your government shut down. Still got NASA and all these other space agencies worldwide not telling you anything. Hiding information. Because that's what the one thing they talked about, how the Catholic Church knew all this information about the fourth part. But they were the ones that pushed these stories about if you go out too far in the water, there's sea creatures, there's monsters, the world is flat, you're going to fall at the end. Those were all things that were made up by the Catholic Church in order to keep people from trying to come over here until it was time for them to come over here and try to steal stuff. They knew about prophecy, right? And they knew there was going to be a certain time when they took down the Southern Kingdom that then they're going to have the opportunity to take down the Northern Kingdom. That's why no prophecies were happening over there. Prophecies are now being fulfilled right here. And this is the end of your guys' rulership on our lands. And we're going to get into this even more later on. But now you understand about Joel chapter 2 and him removing these people off of our lands. Because you came to a land that was never yours. You got opportunity to be here, but now that opportunity is over with. Great hanging out with everybody. Much love, family. Shalom.